There we go. Welcome back to the review show. We're keeping it real, goes right. Welcome back to Real Take Wrestling. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We've got a lot to talk about. Tuesday Night War, NXT versus WWE or AEW. For the first time in over a year now, we witnessed NXT and AEW did it twice now. Go head to head, and there was so much talk about the build-up. There was so much talk about the way that both companies were lining up the shows to be as big as humanly possible. And needless to say, a lot of massive stuff happened tonight. We saw The Undertaker on NXT. We saw title changes on AEW. The international champion, Orange Cassidy, the new international champion, I should say, Orange Cassidy defeating Rey Fenix. And of course, Hikaru Shida regaining her AEW Women's World Championship, becoming the first ever three-time Women's World Champion. The only other world champion who held that belt three times was, of course, Jon Moxley in the men's division. So much to talk about. I want to hear from you guys. What show did you guys think was better? What did you guys think about professional wrestling tonight? I thought that tonight brought out some of the best. Neither show was perfect. That's very clear. But there were definitely a lot of great things that happened. Let's start from the top, though. I'm going to go like kind of segment by segment as much as I can. It was really hard to keep up. I'm not going to lie. It was really hard to keep up with both shows at the same time, but I did my best. Let's start off with the first segments for each show. Of course, both of them kind of opened up with promos. NXT with a longer promo, and of course, AEW had that buy-in, which was kind of like their lead-in, but it's unclear how that really translates, or if that really even translates to actual viewers on television. Sure, you may get people who have YouTube TV who are going to be able to do that, but of course, like it's interesting. It's like you're gonna get a lot of views. I think like I can check right now how many views that video has, and again, views doesn't exactly translate to exact viewers, but that live stream that AEW did for the buy-in right now, 119,000 views. I think they're at peak. They were having like 50,000 people tune in, which is a shoot ton of people. But again, is it like how much does that really translate to your actual rating? Not too much. It's mostly just for hype, and I get why they did that. On that, we saw Minoru Suzuki versus Eddie Kingston for the ROH World Championship. Of course, Eddie Kingston retained. That was expected. And afterwards, he paid respect to Minoru Suzuki, of course. And he told everyone in the arena and everyone watching at home what are you doing in 10 minutes? You better be watching AEW Dynamite, because Eddie Kingston talks like that. And it was great. That was great. Love the buy-in. Thought it was really cool. And then we get to the main show. So NXT opens up with the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. The American roller coaster, as MJF calls him, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes comes down, and thunderous ovation. Of course, it made sense in a lot of ways to have Cody be the person come out for NXT first. You're going up against AEW, which is a brand that Cody himself built and helped build to this point. So it is kind of like a big, not a middle finger, but it is kind of like, symbolic in a way to say, hey, you have this guy, now we have him. And it's weird how the tables are turned, right? Like the last time that they were going head to head weekly, Cody was in AEW and he was one of the faces of the company. And now the tables are turned. He's arguably, outside of Roman Reigns, he is the face of WWE. Weird to see how the tables have turned. He comes out, cuts a promo, announces the Dusty Cup, announces the Breakout Tournament, and of course was interrupted by Ilya Dragunov, the new NXT champion Ilya Dragunov, who comes out and says, "Oh, Cody Rhodes, I love that fight. My name is Ilya." Well, he's obviously not from Texas, but you get my drift. Cool segment. Then they get interrupted by Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley, who get absolutely booed out of the building. Dominic Mysterio, as I said before, is one of the best heels in pro wrestling right now. and ends up being a match, Ilya Dragunov versus Dominic Mysterio for the NXT Championship. They decided to have this big match right here on NXT. We'll talk about that match later on, but let's go on to AEW. What happened on AEW to start? Christian Cage, TNT champion, opens up and he takes all the credit for the first 30 minutes of AEW Dynamite being commercial free. Takes all the credit for the 10-minute overrun that they're going to get that they announced. It takes all the credit for all that. He says, I am the network's champion and they love me. And it was great. Christian Cage, if Dominic Mysterio is one of the best heels in professional wrestling, Christian Cage right now is the best heel in professional wrestling who is on television. Like, it's not even that close, if you ask me. Yeah. So that was cool. And then we get to the match. Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland. Masterful match. These two went out there, had a great match. I thought that Swerve... The question with Swerve, right, is like, can he cut promos? Check. Can he come off as a big star? Check. Can he wrestle with the best that AEW and the wrestling world has to offer? I think after seeing him wrestle Darby Allin, after seeing him wrestle now Bryan Danielson, after seeing him wrestle Hangman at the pay-per-view, it's undeniable that Swerve is right up there with the best. Undeniable. This man has everything it takes to be a massive superstar in professional wrestling. And this match with Bryan Danielson was like evidence. Like, he was moving with Bryan. This was great. This was absolutely great. I loved it. And the way the match ended is really like the big, like the meat of this, right? Like you had the great match. Bryan Danielson had Swerve on the ropes. There were interruptions. Prince Nana was doing his thing. And then Prince Nana hands Swerve the crown as the referee has his back turned, that steel crown that Nana wears. As Swerve goes to hit him, Hangman Adam Page takes the crown out of his hand, and it causes a bit of a distraction, which allows Swerve to get rolled up. 1, 2, 3. Your winner, Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, and the number one contender for Christian Cage's TNT Championship this coming Saturday at AEW Collision. If we're looking at, the first segments, right, I don't think it's really close. Like I thought Cody coming out was big. Like, don't get me wrong. This is not me saying that, one's going to get, the AEW would get a massive rating over Cody in this. But I do think that, from a wrestling standpoint, from a fan standpoint, from my perspective, I thought Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland was more entertaining. My eyes, what I kind of did, or I tried to do, was see where my eyes go throughout the night, and my eyes were going back and forth, right? But during this match, I was really honed in on Swerve versus Bryan, and that's the thing. When you have a great wrestling match on, odds are compared to a filler promo, which is let's be honest, right? Cody did not make an earth-shattering announcement. We kind of already knew that this is what he was going to say. Nothing was really made. No news was really made. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a knock on it. But if you ask me, would I have, a filler announcement? It's cool to see Cody. I will say it's cool to see Cody. It's cool to see him interact with Ilya Dragunov. It's cool to see him interact with Dominic Mysterio in this way. But Bryan versus Swerve, that's a pay-per-view level match that we're getting on TV. So, yeah, so I thought that was more entertaining. Of course, then we had Roxanne Perez in action against... sorry, I am missing a chat here. It says NXT had some good moments, but Dynamite was overall better. I would tend to agree with that from my perspective. And again, everyone has their own taste. Everyone has, what they feel. I really feel like that Dynamite was the better show tonight. That doesn't mean it was perfect. Again, I said neither show was perfect, but I thought Dynamite was a better show. This is an interesting thing. So I slagged Cody for his announcement. I'm going to do the same thing here for Tony Khan. Let me be clear. Tony Khan is doing a great thing by giving 50,000 toys to kids who need them, who cannot afford them for Christmas. Toys for Tots is a great organization. I'm glad. Great. And but we've been through this with Tony Khan, where he said, "Oh, I've got a massive announcement. I'm making a massive announcement. Oh, tune in to Dynamite, I'm making a massive announcement." And every single time, like most of the time, it's like up and down. I don't think Tony Khan should have said that this was a massive announcement or a major announcement or a big announcement. I think the quote was big announcement. So let me quote what he actually said. He said big announcement. Sorry, let me just finish this title. I'm gonna need to adjust the title so more people tune in. But by the way, guys, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Anyway, so I think Tony was within his right to say that he had an announcement to make. He did not need to say that this was a big announcement, in that you got wrestling fans' hopes up. This was like kind of the bad version of clickbait. Like, if we're being honest, I understand this is big and it's doing great, and he is amazing for it, and AEW is amazing for it. TBS and Jazzwares, who are, I believe, partners in this, it's a great thing they're doing. But billing this as an announcement when you kind of knew what people would assume it is, I wouldn't have done it. So I think, like, it's just one of those things. Like, Tony, we've been down this road. I don't think he should do the big announcement thing as frequently as he does. He didn't do it for a while. Now he brought it back for this, and I'm just like, you could have just made this announcement and it would have been cool. But yeah, like, I thought that announcement thing, like, wasn't great. I mean, and that's not me saying, like, I'm not going to say who had the better announcement. Like, we all knew what Cody was going to announce. He was going to announce a Dusty Cup. He had also announced a breakout tournament. That's cool. Yeah, like, it's fine. We got Bro It's Broski says Blood lied about Moxley versus Phoenix and gave the title to Cassidy. Yeah, that was an interesting one. So background on this, and we're gonna be jumping around. That's just kind of the nature of this show and what happened tonight. Let's talk about the International Championship situation. So Jon Moxley was set to face Rey Fenix for the International Championship tonight, and unfortunately, he was not cleared to compete. And AEW, still, like, leading up, the days leading up to the show, was booking and building up this match between Rey Fenix and Jon Moxley, both of whom are suffering from some injuries. Jon Moxley was pulled from an indie show on Sunday, I believe. I don't remember the promotion, but he was pulled from an indie show on Sunday because he was not cleared to compete. So, not like there wasn't this, not like people knew that, or didn't know that he wasn't going to be cleared, or people didn't know that he was, on the verge or whatever. It was kind of like known that he probably was not going to be cleared. Like, Sunday to Tuesday, it's 2 days does not do a lot for a concussion. I think that, like, it could have been one of the situations where they were very optimistic and it just didn't turn out that way. But if you ask me, you don't build the match like that. I thought that there was enough time, like, between Sunday and today for them to at least bring up, that Moxley could be cleared or not. And if not, Orange Cassidy is not, like, a bad replacement for this. Like you could have built that as Orange Cassidy. They didn't. But, is what it is. Again, one of those things where I would not have done it. I would not have built Jon Moxley after, like, him not getting cleared on Sunday. But that's what they did. I don't know. But going to the match, Cassidy versus Phoenix, I love the fact that Orange Cassidy won, because Rey Fenix was never meant to be international champion, and unfortunately, like, he I don't believe is 100% right now. Him winning this, Orange Cassidy winning this belt leads us to a rematch with Jon Moxley down the line, which I am all for. I know people are gonna be like, oh my god, they're hot potatoing the belt, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. There are great wrestling matches happening with that belt. That belt is better off with Orange Cassidy being the guy. Like, that is his belt. It feels like Orange Cassidy's belt. Like the TNT Championship feels like Christian Cage's belt. Like the WWE Championship feels like Roman Reigns' belt. Like, when you think of the international title, I think of Orange Cassidy. And he wins it. He has great matches. You can be as mad as you want. You can be upset as you want. You can virtue signal to your NXT fans all you want. Reality is, I think we're about to see some amazing professional wrestling. Yeah, I dug this. We saw, like the big celebration. It was cool. It was really cool. Let's switch gears back to NXT because we are like jumping all the way around out of order. We saw some after the Cody segment, of course. We saw John Cena. Actually, we saw John Cena in a backstage segment. It was weird. They did this a few times. NXT did these outside of the arena like segments where it's like the camera's outside of the arena, there's a car pulling up, and who's walking out? Oh my god, all these stars walking out. It was John Cena, and it was Paul Heyman, and it was like all these stars, and I'm just like, it reminded me of Impact Wrestling or the Impact specifically the TNA Impact, where Hulk Hogan made his TNA debut, and yes, that one. And you had like these backstage things where Ric Flair was coming out of the limo and it was a big surprise. And you had like the Nasty Boys and you had Scott Hall and Impact and X-Pac outside of the arena. It was like, it really gave me those vibes. It wasn't as crap as all of that, but it just gave me those vibes. So yeah, that was interesting to see. Let's talk about though the first match. I will say too, though, it was really good to see, or cool to see Ilya Dragunov versus Ilya Dragunov in the same ring, I should say, as Cody Rhodes. First match, Roxanne Perez versus Asuka, and this kind of started in the middle or towards the end of the Bryan versus Swerve match, if I'm correct. This was a good match. Again, my eyes were going back and forth. I'm going to be very honest. Bryan Danielson is my favorite wrestler of all time. If he's wrestling a match, I'm going to be watching that very intently. That being said, the match ended, and then I turned to this match. This was a good match. I thought Roxanne Perez, this was a good match to highlight Roxanne Perez on a very important show of NXT. Likely one of the biggest ratings that they're going to have all year, and then being this massive show. And I love that they highlighted Roxanne Perez. She didn't win the match, of course. Asuka ended up picking up the victory, but I thought that, roundhouse kick to end the match. I thought that this was still a good way to be like, hey world, here is Roxanne Perez. Here's what she can do. Did she blow everyone out of the water? No, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm just glad that she was in the spot. After the match, we saw... Who did we see? Oh, sorry. There's so much happened tonight, guys. After the match, we saw Kiana James come out. Kiana James came out and started laying out Roxanne Perez. And then, of course, Shotzi, to the rescue, gets involved. And... Shotzi Blackheart? Sorry, not Blackheart. Shotzi in NXT? Question mark. I wouldn't mind it. I would not mind her getting another run in NXT, especially since it didn't seem like they wanted her that much on the main roster. But we will see what happens there. I thought that was cool. Next match for NXT was the Pub Rules match, the Brawling Brutes and Tyler Bate versus Gallus. I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot going on here. I didn't have the sound on for this because I was at that point I was doing something else, and I was also going back and forth with AEW, all that stuff. But yeah, sorry, just pulling this up. We got Chase in the chat saying Cassidy deserved to be a two-time champ. Of course, he's like, glad to catch up. I watched Dynamite and only can watch NXT for your review. Well, that's why I'm here. I'm going to be talking about NXT. Going to be talking about Dynamite, guys. If you're just joining us, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if you want to guarantee your question or statement gets read out on the air, be sure to leave a super chat. Excuse me. So the next match on AEW that went head-to-head with the Brawling Brutes' bar pub fight, whatever match they want to call it, was Jericho versus Will Hobbs. Powerhouse Hobbs dominated, decimated, victimized, brutalized, and abused the crap out of Chris Jericho in this match. Jericho put in a little bit of offense in the beginning, and then it was just Spinebuster City, which... I'm AEW. I am marketing the crap out of that. Spinebuster City. I don't care. People can say it's a Brock Lesnar parody. They can crap on it all they want. I am all for them going in on the Spinebuster City thing, making Will Hobbs, this big monster, sell some merch. People will buy a Spinebuster City shirt. That'd be cool. Especially when you have Will Hobbs doing it. So Spinebusters, he had a few power slams as well that looked pretty nasty. And then Don Callis, of course, directing traffic, telling him to absolutely decimate and hurt Chris Jericho. More Spinebusters followed. And yeah, he laid him out. Powerhouse Hobbs put him down. And yeah, he made a cover with his knees, embarrassing Jericho in a squash match. He squashed Chris Jericho. And you can, and look, a lot, I personally have a lot of criticisms of Chris Jericho. I know there are a lot of people who they're not his cup of tea. One thing you can't say about Chris Jericho is that he doesn't give back to the business. Because Jericho is at a point in his career where, he's a made guy. In WWE, AEW, no matter where he goes, he's a made guy. Everyone knows the name Chris Jericho. Everyone respects the wrestler that he is. And it is good to see that someone from his generation understands the need to give back. Because he didn't just lose to Powerhouse Hobbs. He took a loss to Action Andretti when he didn't need to, making Action Andretti a more notable name amongst wrestling fans. Now, the follow-up to Action Andretti wasn't that great, but that's a whole different conversation. He did that. He put over Will Ospreay recently. Jericho has put in the work to make other people on the roster look, feel, and be presented better. Not many people from his generation would have done that as easily. And the fact that he is doing it, the fact that he's not just saying, well, hey, put me in a feud with someone I can win against. This, you have to respect it from a professional wrestling standpoint. You just have to. So, kudos to Jericho. The real story here is the dominance of Powerhouse Hobbs, though. I'm on record as saying Powerhouse Hobbs, for me, it's one of my favorite I think he's my favorite big man in wrestling. You can have you have the Miros, you have, Luchasaurus, you have all Braun Breaker, all these guys. I love Powerhouse Hobbs. Love him. Think he's great. And I think that having him go on a winning streak here with the Don Callis family is exactly what his career needed, because he loses the TNT title, but we don't know where he's going. What's next? What's going on? What's going on with Will Hobbs? Does the QTV stuff, which I understand. Not everyone's cup of tea. Not many people enjoy that. I personally thought it was fine. I was just glad it was on TV, if I'm being honest, but yeah, Will Hobbs getting the victory over Jericho. I love what this can do going forward. Jericho was stated, or it was reported by Excalibur actually on commentary, that Jericho was taken to kayfabe hospital for injuries that he possibly suffered against Will Hobbs. So they really put Hobbs over strong here, which I love. After this on Dynamite, we had a vignette play with Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and the Kingdom, where Adam Cole was begging Roddy, "Hey, Roddy, let me get me some time off from this friendship. Let me go get surgery, heal up, all that stuff." And Roderick Strong said, "No, you're my friend. I need you here." And then he said, "Hey, Adam, mow my lawn." And then we saw Adam Cole with one good leg rolling around and mowing his lawn. Team Neck Strong was telling him, "Hey, you missed a spot back there. You had to roll all the way back." It was great. I love these segments. Interesting note here was there was no self signal where Adam Cole was, and he was trying to watch Dynamite, and the Kingdom said, "No, you can't watch it. That stuff is a distraction." So they're separating him from Max, and it was called back later on in the night when Max tried to actually give Adam Cole a phone call. We got Chase in the chat saying, "Who do you think will join Omega and Jericho and Ibushi to face the Don Callis family?" That's a very interesting question. I think here's the thing, right? I think you have a guy like Hangman Page who, after he's done with whatever he's going to end up doing with Swerve, you could have him to be there. You could have, he's one of his closest friends. The Young Bucks are always an option. They're always going to be an option for this. But I think that's the direction they'd go in. Back to NXT, Bate, Butch, and Ridge. No, not Bridge. Holland defeat Gallus. Fun brawl. Again, this was there was a lot going on. They did the in stereo beats of the whatever beats of the Bodhrán. I don't know how to say it. They did the 10 beats to the chests of their opponents, and it was really cool. They later got submissions all at the same time. Fun match. I missed the pinfall here. I don't know who got the pinfall, but I know for damn sure that the Brawling Brutes won. And after this, we got John Cena backstage putting over the importance of NXT, being interrupted by Braun Breaker. And Carmelo Hayes was not involved in this. It was just John Cena and Braun Breaker. Cena got a big reaction. Obviously, he's one of the biggest stars in history in the world. This was fine. It was fine. Again, it is great that you have people like Breaker who are able to be who can be in the same ring as John Cena. But at the same time, I'm just what was really accomplished here? Braun Breaker goes for a spear, and then Cena just goes for an AA, and then neither one hits anything. And yeah, we're it was interesting. It was fine. Again, fine segment. I'm not I'm not gonna be oh, it was unnecessary and it was boring. No, it wasn't boring. John Cena on NXT, it's a big freaking deal. Just having him there is a big deal. And it's good that he here's the one thing I will say. I was glad to see the fact that when these veterans and these main roster people came down, they didn't treat NXT like a C show. They treated NXT and the wrestlers on NXT as if they were important. That is big. Because in the past, it has not been like that. There are a few instances where Vince McMahon, when he was running WWE, allowed that to happen. Kevin Owens is one of the biggest exceptions in the world to this. Outside of that, when you had main roster people kind of interact with NXT people, it didn't go well. They were treated as the C show. And even forget NXT people. When you had veterans interact with, younger people and younger professional wrestlers, up and coming professional wrestlers, they were always ridiculed, and the veterans always got over. And they they made the young wrestlers, they made the younger talent, the talent that's supposed to be the current, the present in past, present, future, they made them look ridiculous. 9 out of 10 times, every time they interacted. So, seeing that, I think tonight was like evidence that like that era is gone. It's hopefully not coming back with Triple H being in charge, of course. All of that is subject to change because in professional wrestling, card is always subject to change, as is whoever the hell is in charge of WWE Creative. A few other notes here. We had a vignette of Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyrie. We also had a plug for Becky Lynch's new book, which I'm really interested in seeing. I can't wait to read that. The Man by Becky Lynch. Cool stuff there. What else happened here? Of course, we had the NXT Championship match, and at the same time, we had the Orange Cassidy Rey Fenix match. And after we already talked about Orange Cassidy Rey Fenix, so I'm just gonna move on to Wardlow versus Matt Sydal. Yeah, this was another Wardlow squash. Matt Sydal, too, of all people to be squashed. I really thought they would have brought Mike. Big shout out to Mike. Solidarity to you, sir. But 4 power bombs, and Wardlow wins, runs off into the crowd. I want to hear people on the internet complain about me now. I'm just like, come on, War Dog. Let's calm down now. Calm down. That was fine. After that, backstage, Renee Paquette tries to get a word in with Chris Jericho, and we see Daniel Garcia and Daddy Magic come in. Daniel Garcia, he's trying to get an update. He's trying to be like, hey, Chris, how you doing? Daddy Magic wasn't happy about it. And, they just storm off. And Renee Paquette was left there kind of like standing. After that, we had Jay White versus Hangman Page, which I believe went right head-to-head with NXT champion Ilya Dragunov versus Dirty Dominic Mysterio. These two had a fantastic match. Dominic Mysterio again and again and again. Like, the big knock on this kid was that he couldn't wrestle. People said, oh, he's got these promos, he's getting all this great heat, blah, 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 but he can't wrestle. He can't have good matches. He can't be entertaining in the ring. Yet here we are, and Dom is having fantastic matches with Trick Williams. Having a fantastic match on NXT with Ilya Dragunov, who, by the way, Ilya Dragunov can make a broom look great, right? And that's not a knock on Dom. That is just, I'm trying to convey how awesome of a talent that Ilya Dragunov is. So Dragunov for the win. I had a hair there. I don't know where it came from. Don't ask me. I have a lot of beard hair. But fantastic match. LA Knight, by the way, was the special guest referee, as Cody Rhodes announced. But man, I think this may have been one of Dom. I think it actually may have been his best wrestling match that I've seen. Like, I'd argue the match he had with Ray was more entertaining, but this was his best, like, in-ring work that I've seen from Dom. I thought this was his best. Like, he did a great job. Dragunov made him look great. And yeah, like, Dom might have it. Dom, like, the knock on Dom was that he couldn't wrestle, and now he's having great matches. I think he only gets better from here because he's someone who's over, and he gets it. He honestly gets it. It's only a matter of time before Dominic Mysterio puts it all together. Yeah, it was interesting that they chose to have LA Knight here, but I mean, look, star power. That's what the show was about. They wanted to make sure that every segment had a big star in it, and they did their best to do that. And look, like, again, you have main roster talent interacting with NXT talent, and they don't look, lesser than for doing it. So I'm fine with all of that. But yeah, cool, fun match. back to AEW. Guys, by the way, if you're just joining us, welcome. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Okay. Jay White versus Hangman Adam Page. Of course, we saw Adam Page earlier on in the night kind of get involved in Swerve Strickland's match, and Swerve would return the favor here. So, Bang Bang Gang, Switchblade, Jay White come out, as does Hangman Page. Hangman Page was showing some aggression in this match, but lately Hangman Page has been getting a bit of an attitude, and I like it. I'm a fan of the attitude from Hangman Page. It really... The gears really switched in that Wrestle Dream match that he had with Swerve, where he was working heel, and he was leaning into being the heel for the first time since AEW started. Hangman Page was never a heel in AEW. Never. There was like a few weeks when they were building up that thing with FTR and the Young Bucks where, he turned essentially a little bit, but not really, because he thought he was helping his friends in the FTR, but they turned out to not be his friends. I thought this was cool. Love the attitude. These two had a great match. The chemistry between these two is just amazing. End of the match saw Adam Page hit the Deadeye, and then a distraction happens. He's unable to get the pinfall. But then, as the Bang Bang Gang is distracting Bryce Remsburg, what do we see? We see that bad man, Swerve Strickland. Prince Nana. What am I doing? So Prince Nana comes out because it's his crown. I apologize. It's been a long night. Prince Nana comes out and he hits Hangman Page he goes to hit Hangman Page with the crown. Can't. Page was ready for it, and in that time, Jay White rolled him up 1, 2, 3. Wow. Switchblade gets a big win over Hangman Page, and Page was livid. He runs his butt down the ramp, chasing Nana, and out of nowhere, as the Bang Bang Gang are all celebrating, we see none other than Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, come out. MJF, Attitude Era, that's a funny one. MJF comes out and parched. Page comes out. I'm sorry, MJF, Hangman Page. It's too many stars. MJF comes out, cuts this passionate promo about how he used to be Switchblade Jay White, how he remembers when he didn't have the respect of the fans and he didn't have friends, and he felt like he had to be the bad guy, and he doesn't feel that way anymore. And he demands that he gets his title back, to which Switchblade obviously relents. MJF is not happy about it, and then Juice Robinson grabs the mic. And here's where things get interesting, to say the least. Juice Robinson grabs the mic and says that he wants a match with MJF, and if MJF wins, hey, might get your title back. But he says that's not going to happen because Juice Robinson is going to take a roll of dimes and hit MJF with them. Which I think for anyone watching harkens back to, of course, promos, which MJF has talked about, really happened, where he was bullied with people throwing quarters at him because he's Jewish. And it was weird to see this in a wrestling setting. Now, of course, I think that none of this happens without MJF signing off, and he probably was the one who approved it. You would like to think that that was the case. It still came across as very. I think it made a lot of people uneasy. I think that's the word here. It made a lot of people uneasy because it is. While I think it is important to have these discussions and like make sure that these things are in the conversation, especially considering the what's happening and the conversations that are happening online right now. It's always weird to see this stuff in a wrestling setting, though. And I made a video of Muhammad Hassan saying like it's very rare that you have like these racial, religious, all these undertones be handled greatly in professional wrestling, and of course and this needs to be fleshed out maybe a little bit more, but I think maybe it's just that fans don't trust professional wrestling with this stuff, and I think it's for very good reason because it's very hard to pull off right. I'm going to reserve my reservation on this because, again, I like to think that this is an MJF story that he's trying to tell. They, of course, had a promo with MJF after this where Renee Paquette's catching up with him, and he was just absolutely incensed. Yeah. Uneasy is the word that comes to mind. And he tries to call Adam Cole. Adam Cole picks up. They have, again, he doesn't have good signal, so the call breaks up. MJF feels like he doesn't have any friends. He's alone. And then Platinum Max Caster shows up with Daddy Ass and Anthony Bowens, the AEW Trios Champion, show up. And Max Caster offers the services of the Acclaimed to MJF to help fight the Bang Bang Gang. To which MJF just walks away silently. And when Daddy Ass asks Max, like, hey, what's your deal with MJF? What's going on here? Why are you always obsessed with him on Twitter, all this stuff? And he just goes, we came up together in wrestling, and at the end of the day, like, that's my guy. And even Bowens just goes, a little sus, man, but okay. So they walk away, segment over. I think it's very clear that they are building up at some point for a 4-on-4 match. The Guns, Jay White, and Juice Robinson versus the Acclaimed and MJF. Just a matter of time till we see that. And Chase in the chat says MJF ain't losing to Jay White after that. I mean, MJF wasn't losing before. He's definitely not losing now. This is his story to win. And if he does lose, it ain't gonna be great. It is not gonna be great. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. It is weird, isn't it? I'm sorry. Anyway, moving on. Women's breakout tournament: Lola Vice versus Danny Palmer. Not gonna lie, I did not watch this match. I knew it was on. I missed it. I was keeping up with AEW at this point. It looks. I'm reading the results here. Lola Vice won. That's great. I will watch this match back, I promise. I just did not have a chance to watch it live as both these shows were going on. One thing we did get here was the debut vignette, the real debut vignette for Brian Pillman Jr., who says a very interesting thing. He explained that he is no longer Brian Pillman Jr. and that he is taking the name of, I believe, his stepfather and King, highlighting his hatred for his father's legacy, saying that he is not his dad. This was interesting, folks. This was really interesting. Um, a very I understand not wanting to live in your father's shadow. And that's a cool story to tell. But mm, 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 mm. Another one of those things where I was just like, this probably could have been handled a little better. Also, what the fudge is up with his beard? Like, hold on, let me see if I can pull this up, because I'm looking at this picture of Pillman Jr. right now, and I am just like, what in God's name, Brian? like, what are those? Hold up, let's see. Where did I even save this? I think it's right here. Boom. What's going on with this beard kid? Cause like you got the like, look, I'm not saying my beard is not lined up, right? It's not lined up for crap right now, but what is that? like, what's going? This is for the people. Like, let's just, I'll make that the center of what we're doing here. Like, he's got the mustache, and he's got like the entire chin covered, and the bottom of the what's going on here, Brian? Fix that, mate. What's going on? He says he looks like Tanahashi. Oh my god. I mean, kinda a little bit, but like Tanahashi's beard is not. No, he doesn't. Okay. It's the hair, and other than that, he doesn't really look like Tanahashi. Woof. That beard is bad, Brian. That beard is absolutely horrendous. Please stop. or shave, or just like let it go. Do one or the other, kid. Do one or the other. That beard ain't it. Anyhow, guys, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm gonna end the poll now. We had 11 votes. 54% said AEW Dynamite was the better show. 45% said NXT was the better show. I also put a poll up on the community page of the channel, which you all should check out. So far, we have, I said, what did you think about wrestling tonight? 14% of you said meh. 4% of you said bad, and a whopping 82% said good. I thought that was way better than asking people, like, hey, what's going on? Like, which show did you like better? I know that's probably going to get more engagement or whatever. I was like, what did you enjoy professional wrestling tonight? Because that's all that matters. And the vast, vast, vast majority of you said yes, which is dope. Up next, we had the main event of NXT, Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker. John Cena in Carmelo Hayes' corner, Braun Breaker in Paul Heyman's corner. We saw a segment where John Cena tried to hype up Melo and Trick backstage before taking Trick off screen to discuss some concerns. Paul Heyman was seen speaking to Alpha Rain in a private room, kind of signaling to the bloodline thing. Could we be seeing The Rock's daughter align herself with the bloodline? This was a great segment. This was a great little nod, great little nudge, saying, hey, you're welcome to join anytime, whenever you're ready. He, of course, hyped up Braun Breaker as well. Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes, who've had some good matches, had another good one here. Again, this was like I was going back and forth with AEW at this point, too. By the way, we still have a few matches to talk about for AEW because two pretty big matches still needed to happen. But Mello and Breaker, like near falls after near fall after near fall. And I thought these two did a good job. I don't think that this was as good as like the previous match they had, but I do think that this was still a very good TV match. Carmelo Hayes ended up picking up the victory, earning himself a spot as the number one contender, or earning himself a spot in the number one contendership match for the NXT Championship next week. So he moves on. And then after the match, Braun Breaker begins a beatdown of Carmelo Hayes being the sore loser that he is, grabs the mic, and he says, "I'm the only badass here in WWE." To which someone had a problem, and that someone happened to be The Undertaker. Lights go out. We hear the gong. Braun Breaker, his reaction when he hears the gong is just like, "Ooh," which I love that reaction. And Undertaker comes out to that god-awful Kid Rock song, American Badass. Yeah, no. But Undertaker came out. My eyes were glued to the screen because it is The Undertaker, and he is somehow on NXT. He comes out in the bike. He rides the bike around, and he comes in, and Undertaker and Braun Breaker have a face-off. Undertaker was like, "Nah, bro, I'm the real badass." He puts Braun Breaker down, and then, of course, we saw Carmelo Hayes and The Undertaker stand tall at the end of the night, which is exactly what should have happened. The endorsement that The Undertaker gave Carmelo Hayes was awesome. Again, it's that changing of the guard in WWE where you have the younger talent being not only spotlighted, but being shown to be important in relation to these legends. It didn't happen for a very long time, and it's happening now, which is great. Yeah, that was cool. And over on AEW, we had the in-ring debut of Adam Copeland in AEW. The Rated R superstar was taking on Luchasaurus. Christian Cage came out, cut a scathing promo, talking about how he played second fiddle his entire career. That Adam Copeland held him down. Everyone knew that Christian Cage was the more talented person, which I'm going to come out and say it. Christian Cage, of the two, is a better promo. Better in the ring. I think that and I'm not saying that he's better. Because Edge is all-time better, right? Yeah, Edge is all-time better. I think Christian Cage is probably one of the most underrated professional wrestlers to ever exist. Because you can't find many better talkers than him. I don't think there's really been a better heel many better heels in the past 25 years than Christian Cage when he was. Go back and watch his stuff in TNA. That was the run that got him back into WWE and got him actually taken seriously somewhat in his second run with the company. Otherwise, he was always just going to be, Christian. The Peep Show, all that, so all the jokes, it was going to be Christian. He was just going to be Christian. But that run in TNA solidified him, and then this run, this is the best run of his career. He cuts this promo on Adam Copeland and brings up his wife and says that, hey, your little girls are going to need a new dad. And Beth, hey, why don't you change the sheets for me so you can say hello to your new daddy? Speaking to his wife, Adam Copeland's wife, Beth Phoenix. We hear Adam Copeland's music come out, and he runs down the ramp. I will say this. I don't know. This felt off. This felt really off. Maybe it was just me, but I don't think that this match hit like it should have. That his, entrance hit like it should have. Because he just kind of ran down. His music barely played. And he was wearing, this vest. and that didn't match with his gear. And I was like, well, what's going on here? He looked a little disheveled. I was like, I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Maybe I was expecting, a little bit something better. I would have much rather had like him like come out and like not been angry, but just been like come out slowly, look over, be disappointed at Christian Cage. Just be disappointed. But let that music play, let that moment build. Because this is like a big moment. This is his first AEW match. You're trying to build this as a main event. You are, you're going to have this massive overrun. You're going to go longer than NXT, which they did. But, it's not what happened. Nick Wayne comes out, took a cheap shot at Copeland before the match. Cope. By the way, they tried to get over the name Cope. I don't know. This Big Bang a try right here. It sounds like remember when there was this time back in like the late 90s where WWE were trying to get Try over as a nickname for Hunter Hearst Helmsley. They're like, I don't like what George's like. Oh, Try. I don't like what Try said. Like, and I'm just like, this is this generation's Try, Cope. Yeah, Cope is gonna wear. It's like remember when they tried to call Shinsuke Nakamura Shin? It's like, hey now, no. He is you say his full name Shinsuke. You do not say Shin, Michael Cole. I don't call you Mike or Mai. I don't know. Anyway, Copeland and Luchasaurus have a fine match. Copeland avoids the extinction, hits a spear on Luchasaurus, and in the end, things break down. Ramsberg catches Christian Cage on the apron with the TNT belt. Copeland takes it from him, hits Luchasaurus with it while the ref has his back turned. Luchasaurus thinks Christian hit him with it, which, man, made Luchasaurus mad. You can tell eventually, like, exactly what Copeland said was going to happen. Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus, the second that they are done with Christian Cage, they are done absorbing all the information they can out of Christian Cage, they're going to throw him away. And there's going to be no one left to have his back other than his best friend of nearly his entire life, Adam Copeland. And that's how I think they end up getting back together. Copeland, as Luchasaurus was distracted, hits a spear, pinning him 1, 2, 3. And then there was absolute bedlam that broke out. Nick Wayne comes in. He starts beating up Copeland. Then Bryan Danielson, the number one contender for the TNT belt, comes out and starts beating up Christian Cage and his posse there to make the save. Then we see the BCC rollout come through. Everyone except Mox, Claudio, Wheeler Yuta to Bryan Danielson's aid to even the odds. And then the Mogul Embassy comes out. Hangman Page starts a brawl with Swerve. Copeland lays out Nick Wayne. And we see Bryan Danielson lock in a lapel lock on Christian Cage, who taps out. Bedlam, brawling, absolute mayhem to end Dynamite. This was the most WCW 1997 ending. It even had the same thing with Tony Schiavone be like, "Oh my God, we're out of time. Good night." Big bang of 97 Nitro from this episode, from the ending of this episode of Dynamite, which I didn't hate. But man, it was just whoa, there's a lot going on here. And they're trying to they crescendo to all of it. They were like, we're going to put all of our big stars at the end, have a big brawl, build these storylines for next week, build these storylines for Saturday night. I thought it was cool. It was a good, interesting way to end the show. One thing I didn't talk about are these amazing Tony Storm segments. There's not much I can say. Go watch them. Tony Storm is delightful. Watch for the shoes. I'm a stan for what Tony Storm is doing. The chemistry that she and RJ City have in these promos are just great. If RJ City isn't all elite already, give that man a graphic. He has earned it just based off of these interactions he's had with Tony Storm. So absolutely loved it. Chase asked, What was Cody's announcement? It was the Dusty Cup and the men's breakout tournament, I believe. Yep. So, again, stuff we kind of already assumed were happening, but he was just kind of there to formalize it, and he was there to pop a rating. But two really good shows. What was this both companies at their best? No. But there was a lot of great... I'm such an idiot. I did not talk about the best thing that happened tonight. I'm such an idiot. I almost ended the show without talking about Hikaru Shida. Literally, the thing I was most excited to talk about. And this is what happens. This is why we can't do... This is why I'm so glad that NXT and AEW aren't on the same night. I could never do a double review. This is literally Cena Rock. This is the Cena versus Rockamania once in a lifetime. The first time. We're not doing a sequel to this. But okay. Saraya, Hikaru Shida, AEW Women's World Championship. Hikaru Shida picks up the victory, becoming the first ever 3-time Women's World Champion. This was Saraya's best match in AEW. I don't think it's any surprise that it was with Hikaru Shida. I think that Hikaru Shida is the best women's wrestler, definitely. In my opinion, I think she's the best women's wrestler in the world right now. I think Mercedes Moné would definitely have something to say about that. But in my opinion, I think she's the best. And that's not a knock on anyone else. It's just my opinion. I think she's my favorite to watch. I think that, bell to bell, there's no one more entertaining than her. She and Saraya had a really good match. The near falls, Hikaru Shida kicking out of every single thing that Saraya threw at her. She was blinded by the spray paint, and still Shida kicked out. Holy Shida, the crowd was chanting as she held up the title. So much confetti raining down. Amazing. Just amazing. I'm so glad that Shida's champion again. And now, I want her to hold this belt for the next 6 months. Have her go on a tear of a run with this belt. Have great matches with everybody under the sun. And then, whenever you want to do it, whatever your first pay-per-view is going to be for the year. It's definitely not going to be Revolution. That's a March pay-per-view. AEW is going to move 10 pay-per-views next year. Whatever your pay-per-view is going to be in January or February, whenever Jamie Hayter is better and she can wrestle. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Whenever Jamie Hayter is clear to wrestle, give me that match. That's the big match. I want Jamie versus Shida, title on the line, world championship, main eventing a pay-per-view. That's how big that match is. That's how over Jamie Hayter is. That's how over Hikaru Shida is. And that's how good both women are. Book it, Tony. Book it. Come on, you know you want to. I cannot wait to see what Shida does as world champion. I'm just glad she's going to be on TV. Yay. Okay. We did it in an hour. Dynamite, NXT. So the question on everyone's mind, which one was the better show? You know what? The better show was whatever the hell you liked. That was the better show. The best thing about professional wrestling, and I think we proved it tonight, is that whatever you like, just watch it, be passionate about it, and enjoy it. That's what professional wrestling is here for. It is to enjoy. If you don't like it, don't watch it. It's okay. There's so much on. There's countless hours of professional wrestling on TV. You don't need to watch the stuff you don't like. Just don't watch it. But moments like tonight, I think are good for fans, and it's good to have companies that actually care about entertaining and engaging fans with their product. I think both companies did a really good job of balancing that. Whatever the ratings are, I don't really like we'll talk about them obviously, but whatever the ratings are, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me as a fan. I'm going to love. All I know is I love these shows. These are two really good shows. Were they the best? No, this is not the best Dynamite that I've seen. Even in the past few weeks, still a really good show. Was this the best NXT I've ever seen? No, still a really good show. Oh, And on that note, guys, if you haven't already done so, do me a favor, hit that like button so as many people as possible see the replay of this stream, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. And until next time, I'm Q for Real Take Wrestling. Be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real. Peace, love, and harmony to everyone suffering from oppression throughout the world. I'll see you next time.